In public, she was the woman everyone wanted to be around. Warm, funny, attentive. The kind of woman who remembered everyone's birthdays, who made people feel seen, who your friends quietly told you were lucky to have, and you believed them, because the version of her they saw was real. She could do warmth, she could do devotion, she could perform love so convincingly that even you sometimes forgot what was waiting for you behind the front door. But behind that door was a different world entirely. Behind that door was the silence that could last for days. Not the comfortable silence of two people at peace, the weaponized silence of someone who had decided you needed to be punished and hadn't told you what for. You'd run through everything in your mind. What did you say? What did you forget? What did you do wrong this time? And when you asked, she'd look at you like the question itself was proof of how little you understood her. Behind that door was the rage that came from nowhere, triggered by something so small you couldn't even track it afterwards. A tone she didn't like, a look she misread, a decision you made without consulting her first. And then it would come, not always loud. Sometimes it was quiet and precise. Words chosen specifically because she knew exactly where you were most vulnerable. She'd been studying you since the beginning. She knew the exact combination that would unlock your deepest insecurities, and she used it. Behind that door was the humiliation dressed as humor, the jokes at your expense in front of people you respected, the eye rolls timed perfectly so only you could see them, the way she'd tell a story about something you did wrong, laughing the whole time, while you sat there deciding whether to defend yourself or let it go again. You always let it go. Because defending yourself meant a conversation you'd have to finish in private, and private conversations with her never ended in your favor. Behind that door was the criticism that never stopped. Nothing you did was quite right. Not the way you handled money, not the way you spoke to people, not your ambitions or your pace or your priorities. She had a way of framing it that made it sound like she believed in you, while systematically dismantling every area of confidence you had. I just want you to be better. That sentence that sounds like love, but functions like a slow erosion of everything you thought you were capable of. And behind that door was the withdrawal. Not just emotional, physical. Intimacy became a reward system you didn't agree to and couldn't decode. When she was pleased with you, you got closeness. When you had displeased her in some way you couldn't always identify, it was gone. Sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks. And your nervous system learned to associate her physical presence with safety and her withdrawal with a kind of panic that had nothing to do with desire and everything to do with survival. You weren't choosing to be dependent on her approval. Your brain was wiring itself that way, one withdrawal at a time. But here is the part that broke you most. Nobody saw any of it. What they saw was her, devoted, warm, long-suffering her. The woman who loved you so patiently despite your moods, despite your distance, despite the way you'd sometimes seem checked out or short-tempered in public. They didn't know the short temper came from 3 days of silence you couldn't explain. They didn't know the distance was you trying to make yourself smaller so you wouldn't trigger the next episode. They didn't know that the version of you they were watching was a man trying to hold himself together in public after being taken apart in private. And when it ended, she told her story first. Of course she did. She'd been writing it the whole time, quietly, carefully, positioning herself as the one who tried, the one who loved him through his difficulties, the one who finally had to walk away for her own well-being. And people believed her, because they'd seen her, warm, devoted, long-suffering her. And they'd seen you, distant, checked out, difficult you. You looked like the problem, because she made sure you would. Here is what I want you to understand. What you experienced had a name: covert narcissistic abuse. The most difficult form to identify, the most difficult to explain, and the most difficult to recover from. Because the abuse never happened in front of witnesses. It happened in the spaces between, in the silences, in the withdrawals, in the private moments that left no evidence and no record except in your body, your nervous system, and the quiet devastation of a man who stopped trusting himself because the person he trusted most had spent years teaching him not to. You are not the problem, she described. You are the evidence she worked very hard to hide. And the fact that you're still standing, still searching for answers, still trying to understand what was done to you rather than simply accepting that you were the difficult one, that is not weakness. That is a man who knows, somewhere underneath all the damage, that the story he was given was never the truth. Follow the shadow mind, because some truths only reach you when you're finally ready to hear them.